Good morning. My name is Alex Irvin, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm a member of your UUI Board of Trustees. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you, and we invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person coffee hour immediately following the service. During this service, there is a time for sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with one another. Cards for sharing your joy or sorrow are on the table by the entrance to the sanctuary. We ask that you pick them up and fill them out prior to that section of the service. Community is one of our core values. This means that we love and care for each other while providing opportunities for fellowship and personal growth. We strive to be a welcoming community for spiritual growth, moral reflection, social action, and religious education. We are so glad that you're here with us today. We hope you find this service inspiring and meaningful.
Good morning. I'm Kathy DeWeese, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm honored to serve our congregation today as worship associate. A lit chalice is a symbol of our tradition, serving as a beacon of hope. David Culp is going to help us light the chalice today. As we light our chalice in the sanctuary, I invite those on Zoom to light a chalice or a candle and to type your location into the chat. Our chalice lighting and opening words today are Determined Seed by Laura Wallace. Thanks, David. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Let us worship.
Please rise in body or in spirit as we join together in singing hymn number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Would you now please join me in saying our covenant, which is also in your bulletin? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And now we're going to say our covenant in Spanish. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, y ayudarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Please be seated.
Good morning. My name's Matt Russell, and I'm one of the other worship associates this morning. So welcome to December, the month where your calendar is never big enough to hold all of the things that are going to happen. And to add to that, we have some other announcements as well. So there's a new daytime chalice circle that will be starting up in January. Get some more information and sign up today in the social hall. And the deadline for signing up for that is December 22nd. You can also join us on Sunday, December 8th for our all-church holiday pitch-in lunch. Bring your favorite dish to share and your own place setting. Following that lunch, you can stay for a book talk and a signing of that book with Diana Essen, author of the new book, Faith, Hope, Action, Ushering in a New Earth Era. Her other titles that might be available are A Moment of Calm, the freedom to be, and traveling spirit. So now we get to do one of my favorite parts of this service, which is the sharing of our joys and sorrows. So we are always filled with many emotions, especially at this time of year. So as the music plays, I invite people in the sanctuary here to come up and drop a stone into the bowl. And if something is on your heart, just take a moment to think about that. You can use both sides of the table and then return back up the center aisle. If you've written your joy or sorrow on a card, please leave it in the basket at the end of the table and it will be read aloud when we're done. Please note that the cards are by the entrance to the sanctuary for easy pickup when you come in. For those of you on Zoom, we invite you to use the chat feature. Please put in all caps either joy or sorrow, plus your name and pronouns at the beginning of what you are sharing if you'd like me to read it out loud after we're done here. You can also symbolically drop a stone into the bowl by typing drop stone or just DS into the chat. Like to share with you. There was nothing on Zoom, but Mia says that their birthday is December 10th. Yay! And Alice is very happy. She has a joy that the Nutcracker is in 5 days, and I'm assuming that she is playing a role in that. Thank you, Patrick. And Patrick wanted to share a joy. I'm glad to begin piano lessons with Sylvia, which will be a wonderful thing. I know that all of the joys and sorrows that are in this community have not been shared verbally up here, but I know that they're in your hearts this morning. So I'd really like to just pause for a moment to give us a chance to contemplate those and just meditate for just a second and take a couple breaths. Blessed be and amen.
Spirit of love, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Yes, indeed, it is time for JETPIG. So anybody who'd like to join me down front here and hear the story of JETPIG, feel free to come forward. Come on, you can sit down here and hear the story of JETPIG. Stay, sit, heel. And I just found out that JETPIG's tail is springy. I didn't know that. So good morning. Today is a service for all ages, so you can join me obviously here, but when we're done, you can go back over to there or with whatever big people, or if you're a big person, you can go back to where you were seated, or you're welcome to stay there. It's up to you. But we won't be going over to religious education today. So I want to tell you a story that Sarah Cannon wrote. Some of the high school students were in on this and part of it. The other day, last week, I brought to them a request trying to come up with the backstory, the history of JETPIG. And they all went nuts, and they started chipping in on, well, what if this, and what if it came from a family of this? And they really got into it and started making up a story. Sarah Cannon, our religious educator, started taking notes, and she went back and wrote this story. So I'm going to share that with you today. So this is the story of a very special UU superhero, JETPIG. Once, in the town of Hamburg, there was a young piglet named Jensen. Did you know that JETPIG had a first name, Jensen? Jensen was the middle child of a family with a lot of piglets. They had litter mates who were athletes, and they had litter mates who were artists. They even had one who sang opera. Who knew? But Jensen was a pretty typical pig. Sometimes they felt a bit forgotten or maybe just overlooked. One Sunday, when Jensen was wandering around with not much of anything to do, his aunt Porcilla stopped by. "What are you up to, Jensen?" she asked, noticing his bored expression. Well, he said, "Oh, nothing really," they said. "Well, why don't you help me put your mom's rummage sale donations into the trunk, and you can come to church with me?" Jensen had never been to Aunt Porcilla's church. He wasn't sure that he really wanted to go. "There are a lot of nice kids there," said his aunt, "and we're having a pitch-in lunch today. I made vegan truffle cupcakes." Now, no pig could resist Aunt Porcilla's vegan truffle cupcakes. So Jensen hopped in the car and drove away with her immediately. When they pulled up, there was this cheery-looking building with rainbow flags out front and a lot of people talking to each other both inside and outside. Someone held the door for Jensen and Aunt Porcilla since they had trotters instead of fingers. So Aunt Porcilla took her vegan truffle cupcakes over to the pitch-in table and wrote down the ingredients on a little tag, like UUs do. Jensen looked at some of the other tags on the table. He turned to her and said, "Wow, there's a lot of vegan stuff here," they said. "It's a great church for pigs," agreed Porcilla. Jensen ended up liking UU Hamburg a lot. They went to RE, religious education, movie nights, game nights, summer camp. When they were in middle school, Jensen joined the coming of age group. And they went on camping retreats and dug into the UU values and principles. As you know, pigs like digging things, so it worked out. In the spring, UU Hamburg had a special Sunday service for the coming of age kids. So as a special gift, Aunt Porksilla surprised Jensen with a backpack. It was a jetpack. I won it in the auction, she said. But you know me, I'd rather be in a kayak than fly. Flying pigs. Wow, said Jensen, strapping it on. Can I try it now? Let's wait until we get home and we can go out in the field. We wouldn't want to violate the safe church policies. So at home, Jensen practiced with the jetpack until they could soar through the air and even do loop-de-loops. Landing without face planting, that was a little bit harder, but they figured it out eventually. They got good at it. When Jensen was in high school, they joined the high school youth group. One night during a movie marathon, the youth were playing around with the letters of the UU values, trying to come up with an acronym, putting the letters in order that would make them easier to remember. So there's justice and equity and transformation and pluralism and independence and generosity. Jensen was mumbling and rearranging some Scrabble letters on the floor. Oh my gosh, screamed one of Jensen's friends. The initials spell JETPIG. Jensen, you're like the avatar of the UU values. Now, it was a joke, right? But it also made some sense. Jensen really did try to live out the values as much as possible. Now, they messed up at times. We all do. But they tried. JETPIG, 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 chanted the youth. And Jensen, he was kind of embarrassed and they blushed. But over the next few years, Jensen hammed it up at church, wearing their jetpack and using the JETPIG acronym to teach the UU values to people young and old. When they bridged at the end of high school, everyone at church was curious, what is Jensen going to do next? Well, I'm not sure, said Jensen. I think I'll travel around for a while, checking out some other UU churches. Maybe they could use a visit from JETPIG too? Aunt Porksilla was so proud she made another batch of vegan truffle cupcakes to celebrate. And that's why we all keep an eye out for Jensen JETPIG to this very day. You just never know when JETPIG is going to show up. Thank you. Stay. So I really liked that story. I appreciate Sarah Cannon for writing that, just for us. So earlier, we sang a line in the hymn, and the line in that hymn was, "We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us. As we give, we gain." So every week, we gather together here to experience the joy of community, healing from the stress of the week, to share successes and failures, and to inspire and motivate each other, to draw from a wellspring of new ideas. You guys are amazing. And to receive an education in areas that we may not have even known existed before, and much more. Each of us has a different reason, and that reason can change each time we gather together. And we all need to support one another, especially in the coming year. None of us really knows what's going to happen, but planning ahead on how you individually or this community as a whole is going to respond, that's a good idea. Practicing what you do and how you do it before there's an issue in our local community or state or nation, that would really help the speed and focus of a response to some kind of an issue or a challenge to our UU values. In an emergency, we do what we have practiced, and we get better at the things we practice, right? You know this. However, if there's an emergency in your home, you want the emergency response team to show up and really know what they're doing. You don't want them to spend an hour talking about what they should do. No, we really want them to be prepared. And there are going to be issues and emergencies and things that we haven't even thought of coming up in the year to come. And each of those situations will be different, but the skills and training needed will often be the same. I have seen and heard this phrase before. It was on a plaque somewhere, and I've seen it some other places. There is no easy way. There is only the hard way. There is no easy way. There is only the hard way. That's really difficult to hear because we all, including me, want there to be an easy way. An easy way to lose weight, or to learn a new language, or learn a new instrument, or a new skill. But we need to accept that the habit of doing what is best rather than what is comfortable, that's going to be what we have to do. We want to do the right, generous, and just thing, but many times we want to pay a discounted price for it. How many hours or dollars or how much creative energy is doing the right thing worth to you? We all want to complain, me included, but are we willing to spend our evenings or part of a weekend with like-minded folks working on solving a problem? The word sacrifice conjures up some really negative associations for many people, including me, the former Christian. But what are you willing to do in this coming year when our UU values are being threatened? So I've been here about 3 years or so, and when I first got here, I kept hearing this term, beloved community. It was a new idea to me. So in getting ready for this message, I really dug in and tried to find a good definition for it. And I found this one. A beloved community happens when a truly diverse group of people come together in an interdependent relationship of love and mutual respect and care that seek to realize justice within the community and the broader world. Now, please notice at the beginning of that, there's something interesting. It doesn't say that the beloved community is. That would imply that it's an unchanging thing, that it always is. No, it's defined as a thing that happens only under the right conditions. The beloved community comes into being if and only if we continue to build interdependent relationships that work towards a more just world. And you know what? If enough of us stop caring, it goes away. It's not a permanent thing. So we need all of you. We need all y'all, including me. A community that is nurtured, grown, fed, and transformed through the voluntary contributions of its members. Now this is not a pitch to volunteer for the fill-in-the-blank team or committee. Those are great things, and they always need people. We have openings, that's great, but it's not enough. This is a plea to form relationships within this community based on love, caring, and respect. We all need support, comfort, and encouragement, especially in the days to come. This can look like many different things, and each of us has a different way to contribute to these relationships. Now, there are religious education classes for old and young folks that can help. We've got a transgender inclusion in congregations workshop. That's something I'm planning on signing up for. There's a multi-generational all-church read-along, and we have some events happening coming up. And there's OWL, that's the Our Whole Lives program. It's a comprehensive lifespan sexuality education curricula. And then there are things like chalice circles and other groups that just get together to share and enjoy time with each other, maybe have something to eat. Now, when we talk about giving to the church, that can be really difficult. And we often hear the three words, time, talent, and treasure. Now, those are great and they're necessary. This place doesn't run without those. But we need more. We will need all of us to lend our voices, our listening ears, our emotions, and our love. I'd like to thank Tanya Webster. She's a UU religious educator in Hayward, California, for this shared values image that's on display, that one. Please notice that love is at the center of that colorful diagram. So we see a chalice with the word love over flames, surrounded by 3 interlocking orbits of color. Now they resemble the stylized motion of subatomic particles. Yay. Okay, I'm a geek, I'm a scientist, I like this stuff. As the orbits intersect each other, the colors shift from dark pink to red to aqua to blue to goldenrod to bright green. And within the open spaces, there are located the 6 UU values. So I love this version. This version is interesting to me personally because the model is formed around the idea of an atom. So if the nucleus or the love in the center is removed, those electrons or the values, there's nothing to hold them together. They just go flying out in all directions. Now, the opposite of that situation is if those electrons get stripped away and we have just love with no values, it's not a good thing. People get hurt and bad things happen. So, love without a value system around it would quickly do damage or just fall apart. Love without values to act as boundaries, that's not a good idea either. So also notice that those values are in motion and they are interacting with each other. And the center is stable and unchanging. When this system is in balance, we all can create wonderful things. Now, in Article 2 of the UUA Purposes and Covenant in the bylaws, it states this: love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. So I wanted to take a look at each one of these values and see in the coming year how we might respond to challenges to them or threats. So, I came up with a few ideas, and I'm sure that y'all are already involved in these and many others that I don't even know about, and that's wonderful. But let's also keep in mind that the shared values are inseparable from one another. It's never just one. They're always kind of tied together, and it's never easy to say that it's just, pluralism. There's more always going on. So the first one there, and of course they're in the order of JETPIG. So justice, we work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where all thrive. So threats to this value might look like changes in our immigration policy. Planning ahead might look like forming teams to lobby our representatives at the Indiana State House. Now, I know some people have already been working on that, but we may need to do that even more. So equity, the second value, says we declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. So there might be even further efforts to limit LGBTQ+ rights, but by learning how to be a truly inclusive community, we can be a safe haven for folks to come here. Or maybe Christian nationalist ideas get used to corrupt our democracy. That would never happen. But by volunteering during campaigns or elections, we can move our society back in the right direction towards our UU values. So transformation is the third one. We adapt to the changing world. Sounds easy, not so much. Flexibility to adapt and change our UUI programs and teams as needed. That's, I'm sure, going to need to happen. If not this year, it will happen in the future. What has worked in the past might just not work to address the problems that are coming up in the future. Continuing to learn new skills and sharing what we know with each other, that's a great idea, and it would stretch our organizational muscles. So, my favorite, pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. So, what faith communities are there out there that we're not working with right now? We do some work with other UU congregations. There's a whole lot of folks out there that we don't have to agree on theology in order to work together to protest policies or systems that don't uphold our values. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. So maybe working on this value looks like volunteering at a local park, in a nature center, to teach folks young and old about the place we have in that web. Maybe it looks like changing your dietary choices to reflect your views about a sustainable world and decreasing your climate footprint. Didn't say it was going to be easy. So the last one is generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. So, as I've said before, giving money is great and necessary, and in order to maintain this campus and this staff, it takes money. But as I said before, it's just not enough. We need to spend our time with youth, share your talents in worship, contribute your skills on a committee or a project, either here at UUI or in your local community. You know, I'm sure one or more of these values, they stand out to you as something that motivates you personally to action. Someone, I wouldn't know who that would be, maybe it was my wife, suggested to me that we all have a superpower based on one of these values. So which one is yours? Can each of us be a little bit more like Jensen JETPIG? You know, I'm sure Jensen crashed their jetpack more than once, but they had a mentor, Aunt Porxilla, and a supportive UU congregation, UU Hamburg, to help them try again. So, as I mentioned, personally, I'm drawn to the value found in pluralism. I have enjoyed a long relationship with the Turkish community here in central Indiana. These folks are mostly Muslim, and they've come to the United States from Turkey and Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan, and they serve in fields typically of education and medicine. Now, my wife and I, we've been to many events over the years, both large and small. And this has led to relationships where each side has learned about the other. As I mentioned, it's not necessary to agree on theology to care about and work with somebody from a different culture or faith. So one of the most important things I learned from my friends from Turkey comes out of the Quran. It's chapter 4, verse 36. And in part, it says, "And do good to parents and to relatives, orphans, the needy, the near neighbor, the neighbor far away, the companion at your side, and the traveler." And it goes on to say some other things. But to my mind, that verse, it sounds an awful lot like the first and second principles of Unitarian Universalism, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and then the second one, justice, equity, and compassion in human relationships. When we put our time, effort, and emotions into an activity guided by our values to address a problem, amazing things can happen. The protest that changes minds and policies, lobbying our state legislature to vote no on a particularly offensive bill, the messy hands-on work to clean trash along a local stream or a highway, or really important, the one-on-one conversation with a youth member that opens their eyes and hearts to a new possibility they had never thought of. So, does all of this wonderfulness guarantee that we are going to be successful? Nope. We will lose votes, fail to convince folks, and completely miss opportunities to make a difference. It's going to happen. We will experience frustration and even grief at times. Experiencing these emotions, it can be demotivating and soul-crushing. But guess what? That's exactly why we need the beloved community of UUI. We need a sanctuary, a place of refuge, a place to go on a routine basis to be refilled with love and to reignite our flame, when it has burned low. I hadn't even planned that, but it worked out great. I have been asking UUI folks for a couple weeks now, what actions are you willing to engage in during the next year to support UU values? I don't know if any of y'all are here, but thank you for when I ambushed you with that question, and I appreciate the responses. So here are a couple of them. Donate money to local justice-seeking organizations. Write letters and start petitions to support causes with the goal of improving our community. Commit to calling my state and federal representatives. March in protests and raise my voice at the State House. Get more involved with religious education right here at UUI. Write grant proposals to find ways of improving our local ecology. Support women-owned, minority-owned businesses. Recycle everything I can. Increase my pledge to UUI. Okay. Change my diet to better reflect alignment with my values. Serve on the welcoming team. Now, some folks, we're just not going to have the capacity or the means to help directly at all times. But a kind, encouraging word, a non-judgmental listening ear, that goes a long ways in helping others carry on the work that they're doing. So, what do you all want this community to do in the coming year? We may have to change priorities very quickly depending on what happens in terms of policies and laws. While I was writing this message, I read about an event being held at All Souls Unitarian Church. This is going to happen on December 14th. It's an event called Love Can't Wait, Quick Wedding Ceremonies. It's happening out of a concern that laws and policies may change concerning unwed couples in the LGBTQ+ community and immigrant communities. Maybe there's a way that we can help with that. It's worth looking into. I think this is the kind of excellent example in a proactive attempt to help folks whose lives may be challenged in the coming year. So, what else is out there waiting for us? What have we not even thought of? What can we be on the lookout for? I don't know, but this community here, it's full of creative, dedicated, resourceful people who can, together, move mountains one stone at a time. So UUI, it's a piece of hope that we will need to hold on to in the coming year, no matter what happens. Don't give up. Where there is life, there is hope. And it's okay at times to step back and just take a break and recognize that you cannot take on any more at the moment. That's okay. And it's easy to get overwhelmed and in too deep and overcommitted. We need to know our limits, and yet we need to engage when and where we have the capacity and the skills to do so. Now, I hope everybody has an opportunity during the end of 2024 to take a deep breath, enjoy a time to celebrate all that we have, and then please gather with this beloved community frequently in the year to come to recharge your batteries and find your next challenge. And please remember to keep love at the center of whatever it is that you do. And keep an eye out for opportunities to join Jensen JETPIG on their quest to make a positive difference in this world.
Thank you so much. This group is part of the Indy Winds Flute Choir, and they are doing a special presentation of Holiday Candlelight Concert next Sunday, right? Now, December 8th at 7 p.m. at the Meridian Street United Methodist Church. And the admission is free. Bring your family. They will be featuring classical holiday-inspired arrangements of music by Bach, Vivaldi, Tchaikovsky, and more. I think this is on my calendar now. Thank you so much. Every month, UUI gives half of a Sunday collection to a cause chosen by our Social Justice Committee. Today, the Share the Plate offering will go to Boulevard Place Food Pantry. They strive to meet the immediate basic physical needs of the most vulnerable in our communities. They accomplish this by providing food, clothing, transportation, shelter, and ultimately sustainable paths out of poverty to people who find themselves in need of community. You can give on your smartphone by texting the dollar amount you want to give and the word share to phone number, which is in the chat and in your bulletin. You can also give on our website at uui.org. Here in the sanctuary, ushers will come around to collect donations. The offering will now be gratefully received. May it be joyfully given.
Thank you so much for your generosity. You know, it's one of the UU values. If I hadn't challenged you enough already, when I was looking for closing words for this service, I found something that kind of jumped off the page to me. It's from Reverend Eric Walker Wilkstrom, sorry. So this was kind of difficult for me. So if you are who you were, and if the person next to you is who they were, and if none of us has changed since the first time we came in here, we have failed. The purpose of this community, of any church, temple, zendo, mosque, is to help its people grow. We do this through encounters with the unknown in ourselves, in one another, and in the other, whoever that may be for us, however hard that might be, because these encounters have many gifts to offer. So may you go forth from here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. So may we all.
Please rise in body or in spirit as we join together in singing hymn number 1014, Answering the Call of Love. Be mindful this song was written differently. We will have adjusted words on the screen beside me. The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love above, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are standing the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Please join me now in our chalice extinguishing words which are on the screen and printed in your chalice. We had one flame go out, but we still have another down below, so we're good. Now we extinguish the flame of our chalice but not the light of understanding, the warmth of compassion, or the fire of commitment. Let us keep those with us until we meet again. Go in peace.